Hello?
Oh, hi, Mark. Listen, I was just perusing around the internet, looking for cat videos and reviews of my movie, and I just happened to notice that you weren't planning on doing one.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I want to see it. I really do. But I only review stuff on my channel that people request that I review.
Oh, of course, I understand. Well, in that case, I'm requesting one.
Oh, you follow my channel?
Oh, God, no. Have you seen your channel? Nobody follows it. And do you know why nobody follows it? Because you're not reviewing Deadpool right now.
But I promised everyone last week that I was going to review Ash vs. Evil Dead this week. I even had a stinger for it at the end of my last review.
Nobody cares, Air Bear. People want Deadpool, and they want it now. So I'm going to make this real easy on you. Either you give me a review, a spoiler review, and a couple of other videos this week, or your dear friend Mr. Pickles is going to get one right between the eyes.
Wait, who's Mr. Pickles?
Your pet goat.
I don't have a pet goat.
Oh. Well, in that case, I better figure out who I stole this from. But when I get back, there better be a Deadpool review up on your channel, or else.
So who wants to review Deadpool? If you guys have watched my channel before, then you know that I have kind of a mixed feeling about Deadpool. I work in a comic book store, and his book is indeed very good. However, he is freaking everywhere. He is all over the place. He's one of the most requested characters I've ever seen. And when you have that many people coming in asking for that much Deadpool, yeah, you can get kind of sick of it. So I wasn't quite as excited for this movie as everyone else. Plus, Deadpool isn't like most other comic book characters, because Deadpool, when he's written well, is indeed one of the best comic book characters ever created. However, when he's written poorly, he's one of the worst. Because it's not like writing Batman poorly. When you write Batman poorly, it's just like, oh, this guy's kind of one-dimensional and bland. When you write Spider-Man poorly, it's like, oh, this guy, that doesn't feel like Pete. Why are you writing him so childishly? I don't like how you're portraying my favorite character here. When you write Deadpool very well, he is a humorous guy with a lot of heart and a lot of depth who finds a way to make everything funny and he just picks you up with great action and adventure. When you write Deadpool poorly, he is that guy you want to shut up. So I was indeed nervous about this film because yes, Deadpool did need a redemption movie. After Wolverine Origins, holy cow, did someone need to come in and treat this character right. And this movie gets Deadpool. This is the Deadpool film we have been waiting for. Oh my gosh. I was so nervous looking at all those trailers. Because every single one of those trailers looked like, oh, it's just gonna be nothing but just R-rated crude humor. And I'm not saying that crude humor is bad. I'm just saying it looked like it was gonna be kind of lazy humor. Like all the jokes in those trailers is like, alright, whatever. The humor in this film is so on point. It is excellent. Yes, it can be raunchy and crude and it can be extreme and harsh, but only when it needs to be. Only when the situation calls for it. And they don't just throw stuff out there. They don't just put something dirty out there and that's the joke. No, they actually take the time to set everything up. Every single dirty joke has a setup and it has a punchline. And I'll admit, I didn't laugh out loud at all of them. I only really got like maybe 4 or 5 really good chuckles, but that's pretty good for most movies. And even the ones that didn't make me laugh out loud, they still made me go, that's pretty good. Yeah, alright, yeah, that's alright. In fact, I can't really think of any joke in this entire film that didn't at least make me nod in approval at it. That's probably the best track record I've seen for any comedy in years. And it's not just random jokes all over the place, it's random Deadpool jokes. The people who wrote this knew Deadpool's sense of humor. They didn't just go in there and go, okay, well, we just have to write it funny. No, everybody's humor is different. They got Deadpool's sense of humor. They nailed it, especially the fourth wall breaking. I was afraid that would get old, or they wouldn't exactly know how to introduce it. They nailed it. It is excellent the way that they break the fourth wall. They keep the storyline going so long that you almost forget that he can break the fourth wall, then he'll turn and do it. They know the exact right times to have him do it. In fact, the fourth wall breaking was something else that I was worried about in this film, because when Deadpool does it in the comics and that's all he does, it kind of takes away from the story for me. Yes, don't get me wrong, I love that he breaks the fourth wall, but if you have a guy who can heal back from almost anything, and he knows he's in a comic book, then I never really saw what the threat or what the drama of these stories was supposed to be. It's like, well, if there aren't really any stakes, and he's not really in any kind of danger, then how am I supposed to care? Like, yes, Deadpool can heal back from everything, but if he knows he's in a comic book, then why is he supposed to be attached to anyone, or why is he supposed to care about what's happening? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. This film nails that because you feel the connection he has with everybody. Everybody in here has amazing chemistry, and you feel the stakes. You feel what is at stake in this movie. You feel the threat he's going up against. You feel why he would want to go up against it. At no point does it feel like, hey, you're just watching some guy walk through a movie who knows he's in a movie. No, even if he knows that this is a film, this is real life to him. That's exactly how you're supposed to treat the fourth wall breaking in Deadpool. And I've been talking mostly about the comedy so far because yes, the comedy is the most important part of Deadpool. That is what he's known for. However, as I mentioned earlier, the correct way to write Deadpool is to not just make it about the comedy. You have to give him depth. You can't just make this Deadpool reaction meme the movie, which is kind of what I was afraid it was going to be, because let's be honest, that's what most people know this character for. This movie has heart, so much heart, and the way that they tell the origin story is new. It feels completely new and is the perfect way to introduce that heart, because so many people out there are like, I just want to see Deadpool being funny, I just want to see Deadpool shooting up people, I just want to see Deadpool himself. But at the same time, you have to introduce him, you have to give him backstory. So what they do is they have the present storyline going and keeps cutting back to his origin story, and the origin story is all the heart. And they know exactly how to pace this out. So they'll be like, alright, yeah, Deadpool, oh man, you're so awesome. Time for the feels to come in. But then when you start getting tired of all those feels and it's like, oh man, this is getting a little bit too heavy, bam, back to the present, and Deadpool is just being his goofy self. So yeah, this is a redemption movie for Deadpool, but also for Fox, because this is a character who they didn't just screw up in the previous films, but their entire X-Men universe, don't get me wrong, the X-Men films are good. I really like pretty much all the X-Men films. You know which bad ones I'm talking about. But even though I like their other films, heck, I would even say I love a couple of them, even though I have liked the other X-Men films, I never really could get over the fact that it seemed like they were trying to apologize to the audience that they were making a comic book movie. Like, ever since that first one, when Wolverine is commenting on their costumes, and Cyclops is like, would you rather have yellow spandex? Ever since then, it always felt like Fox still was that one studio out there treating the comic books like, yeah, no one's going to accept that. We gotta make this fit for mainstream audiences. And watching this movie, this is a comic book ass movie. This movie fully embraces all that stuff from the comics that works. It realizes, hey, just because this is printed on paper doesn't mean it can't be printed on film. This appeals to audiences. This could also appeal to audiences. Because yeah, not just the humor, not just the suit, which looks great, but everything about this feels like, yeah, I'm watching all the stuff that worked from the comic book. Somebody is not trying to hide that fact. They are fully embracing it. Like Colossus. We've all seen in the trailers that Colossus is going to be in this movie, but they never showed him talking, and I was so afraid they were going to treat Colossus the exact same way that he's been treated in all the X-Men films, where he's just the big buff guy that shows up, never really speaks, maybe says one line, isn't Russian because, oh, that would be different and weird, we need just normal bland American guy in there. This dude shows up. Not only is he metal the entire time in this film, he is super Russian. They gave him the thickest Russian accent in here. And I mentioned this being a redemption story for Deadpool. This is a redemption story for Colossus. Because not only is he Russian, not only is he showing off all his powers, they got his character. They didn't just study up Deadpool and go, oh, what's his character? They studied up Colossus to see what his character was. Because Colossus was always kind of the big brother of the X-Men team. He is in total big brother mode here. And it makes the interactions between him and Deadpool amazing. As I said, the chemistry between everyone in this film is on point. But I love seeing those two guys interact. And it was actually kind of perfect because this is an R-rated film, and it is set in the X-Men universe. They didn't just grab random mutants and bring them in. No, they said this is fully set in the X-Men universe that exists in the other Fox movies. And Colossus is in there like, no, we must be good, we must be heroes, we must teach you a way how to be a good man, we know it is in you. And Deadpool's just like, man, I ain't got time for any of that. And you can tell it is kind of like the PG-13 world coming in going, hey, R-rated film, we can bump you down to PG-13, right? And the R-rated film's just like, nah, man, this is R-rated territory. And I mentioned it in my little debate video last week in which I was talking about whether or not Deadpool should be PG-13, and I mentioned no, it needs to be rated R because it needs to show that comic book films can embrace different levels of violence and humor and storyline, the stuff that you can't just find in a PG-13 film, just to give us something new. This film is a solid R rating. I mentioned in that video that to all the teenagers out there, you could probably handle it, but kids, I really don't think that those 8 and 9 and 7-year-olds out there, I don't feel like that audience can handle what's probably going to be in this film. And now that I've seen it, no way in hell could you handle this. And I gotta applaud my audience. I do. I don't know if it's true all across the country, in fact, I'm sure it's not, but at my audience, and in the line of audiences waiting to come into the movie after us, not one kid. Not one kid. Those parents were smart enough not to bring their kids to this movie, nor should they have. Because this film doesn't just have bad language, it is loaded with sex and nudity and violence. This is a hard R rating. And I'm gonna make a video later talking about this and talking about the success of this film because holy cow, is this film going to be a success? You might be asking, hey, didn't you say all your reviews come up on Fridays? Why is it coming out later than that? It's because I tried to go and see this on Friday, and I went to an early showing so I could still record my review afterwards, and oh my gosh, every single showing was booked up. Like every showing, all around the city was booked up for like 5 hours. So this thing is going to be a huge, massive blockbuster hit. And I'm going to talk about the importance of this being an R-rated film in that. But for now, I will just say that all that stuff, the sex, the violence, the nudity, all that stuff, it never really feels like they are just putting it out there to go, look what we can do. It feels like they're actually constructing the world of this character. It feels like they're actually going, no, 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 this is not a hero. This is not a nice guy. All right. This is a character who exists within a really raunchy, dirty world. But the weirdest part is they don't just use it to set up the world, but they also use it to set up his character and all the characters around him, because when he meets his love interest, they bond over the weird, kinky sex that they have. Like, they have some of the freakiest sex that I've seen in a movie. Take that, 50 Shades of Grey. But they almost bond over it. Like, you see them falling in love through this, and you're kind of like, yeah, I buy it. Because of the weird, freaky sex they're having. I'll get into a little bit more of the specifics on that when I go to the spoiler review, but yeah, I was impressed with the way that they used all that stuff that made this an R-rated film to build his character and everything around him. This film knew how to use that R rating. I really have to applaud them for that. But this isn't just a redemption story for Deadpool, for Colossus, for the X-Men, for the Fox movies, for R-rated action films. No, above all that, this is a redemption story for Ryan Reynolds. Oh my gosh. Slow clap it out for Ryan Reynolds, everybody, because this is a very talented actor. A very talented comedic actor who over the past decade, if not more than that, has been on the worst streak of luck I have ever seen for an actor. This is a guy who, for the past 10 years, has been starring in total box office flops that have just been panned by the critics, and you look at him like, I know you can act! I know you're talented! Why do you keep signing on to this crap? And finally, he is in a film that is going to be a huge success and is also incredibly good that he actually had a hand in working on. You can see all throughout this film places where he had influence because he is in fact one of the producers on this film. He wanted to make this happen. But there are times all throughout this film in which you can see his influence, and there's one line in here which this has nothing to do with plot or anything like that, but if you're one of those people who is like, oh, I don't want to know a single thing that happens in this film, then why are you watching a review? But if you're one of those people, then tune out now. But there's one line in here in which he goes, I tried playing the hero once, I never quite came back from it. And you can tell that he wasn't writing about Wade Wilson. He was writing about himself. That was Ryan Reynolds putting in the script, him basically saying Green Lantern and Wolverine Origins f***ed up my career. Doing those two movies, I have never been able to come back from that. And this is it. This is the moment when he finally comes back. This is going to do to him what Iron Man did for Robert Downey Jr. Now, I know I've been freaking out about this movie because it is indeed really good. However, there are a few small problems with it. The first problem I have is that I said this film breaks the mold for those X-Men films. It fixes so many problems I have with the X-Men films. It gets these characters right. However, there is one problem that those other X-Men films had that I'm really starting to get sick of, and it is indeed in this movie too. It's that in all those other X-Men films, the main villain would always have a side villain who didn't do a damn thing. The side villain was always there just to fight another character, and they were also there so that the main character would have someone to talk to explain plot to. They do it in this film, and this film is played by Gina Carano, who I think she's pretty talented. I've only seen her in a few things, but she's been pretty darn good, so I want to see her do more stuff. But in this movie, I think she has like maybe 3 lines, and her character looks so freaking cool. Like, she is a badass in this film. Still doesn't really do anything except for get into a fight with a side character. It's like, come on man, you need to start giving all your villains depth. And the other little complaint that I have is that this is a simple movie. It is a really freaking simple movie. Like, the storyline of this is straightforward, one storyline, no subplots. But at the same time, that also kind of feels refreshing. Like, I'm complaining about it because it is so simple, but at the same time, I still am kind of happy we have this. Because every single other superhero movie out there has to get bigger, it has to go bolder, it has to get more jumbled and mixed up and get their universes going back and forth. It's like, alright, it kind of feels nice to have just this standalone movie over here that's just about a dude going out for revenge. It's kind of refreshing. So yes, this movie was excellent. If you are of the appropriate age to go and see this film, then I highly recommend that you do it. And if you're not, well, then, you know, wait until it comes out on DVD and one of your friends whose parents don't really care rent it. Anyway, I'm not going to, nobody do that. Nobody, don't do that, kid. Wait until you're 18. Wait until you're old enough to understand this film. So okay, it's time to give my rating, and recently I've been going back and looking at my rating system, and I've decided I want to tinker with it a little bit. So at the moment I don't have a set rating system that's set in stone. So until then, for the time being, I'm going to give Deadpool 4 chimichangas out of 5. Just enough to fill you up and make you feel good, but not enough to make you sick. I feel like Deadpool would approve of that rating system. Alright, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure that you hit that thumb up, leave a comment, and subscribe to see my next review. And if you want to tell me what to review, you can always leave a comment down below or contact me on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgi. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode. Click on the videos at the end of this to see other reviews and more Deadpool stuff from me, and come back next time.